still down as Penitent Whispers.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know why that is. Sorry, it's not my name. Someone thought it was a pseudonym yesterday, which I guess it could work. It could work, right? But
take your time for doing this with me.
Thank you.
So the first question I ask anyone I ever interview is, how is your day going? Because we have to start this interview off right.
Go on, Steve.
You're saying my day's been more interesting. Yeah, it's been okay. An appointment I didn't want to have to do, but it's done now, and now it's the weekend, so it's all good.
That's exciting. The weekend's always fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've just finished work, which is a good thing, I suppose. I had a few bits of end of Friday, end of the week, bits and bobs to tie up, but that's all done now, and it's a bank holiday weekend here in England. So we've got a 3-day weekend here. The weather's not looking too great in London, but we'll see how things go tomorrow. But yeah, got plenty of time to. I think we've got rehearsals this weekend, so something to look forward to.
That's exciting. So the release date is today. How do you both feel about that?
That's great. Shall I go? Sorry, I'm just wary. I'll go. Yeah. It feels like it's been a long time coming. It's the first time we've worked with a label that's this sort of professional. So having sort of even working to a fixed release date is interesting. But we've got some really nice reviews and comments, and people have really good feedback. So it's good to finally have it out there properly, I think.
Nice. So
it's been Tom's sort of project initially. So this particular release. I feel like I've just come along for the ride, but it's still very exciting. It's still great to get that feedback.
Yeah, for sure. I know you mentioned that it's different because you have like a more professional label. How was it kind of different this time for you both?
Well, we've dealt with sort of PR and doing interviews like these, actually. Normally, I think we both come from a quite DIY background. So a lot of, interviews with zines, demo tapes, even going so far back as tape trading for me back in the day. So there's a lot of kind of self-promotion and working on on that sort of underground level. So doing it this way is quite refreshing. It's quite different. I mean, I'm not, it's essentially having someone else make the connections for us, which is new to me. But I'm not against it at all. I don't have as much time as I did when I was a teenager, so.
That's for sure. Do you want to add anything to that, Steve?
No, just it is quite nice to have someone on your side and back you up. So we do come from the DIY scene where it's promotion really only happens if you're doing it yourself and flyering yourself and all these kind of things. So yeah, it's cool, interesting.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like less work for sure, which is always amazing.
I think just as you get older and you have more sort of commitments in the real world, it's nicer if someone does the heavy lifting for you, I think.
Yeah.
The joys of being an adult, right?
Yeah. But still being immature enough to play in a heavy metal band, right?
So what is one thing that you would change about this album, if anything?
I think it stands for what I was doing at the time. Perhaps there was some other material. I think it could have been a bit longer. There were some other parts, some other riffs and bits that I wanted to include, but in the end, I spent about a week recording and just cut off there. For me personally, I created music on my own before Steve and I are old friends, but before I got in touch with Steve. And I think the obvious thing to say would be that I should have got Steve on board at the beginning, and maybe then the writing process would have been more collaborative. But we intend to sort of rectify that in the future.
That's something to look forward to for sure. Are you excited about that, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it was. the bands I've been involved with previously have always been very much one of the writers of the music as well. So it's kind of again sort of refreshing to suddenly go. Someone comes along and says, "Oh, here's some songs. Do you want to just add some lyrics?" And great. So it just allowed me to focus quite a lot on that. But yeah, we've got some. We're sort of building out to a full lineup now to hopefully start doing some live work and then for future releases, and having more people on board, more people contributing material and ideas, and just a sense of mood. I think that's gonna, yeah, it's really open up to different things and possibilities.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So besides that, is there a story behind the album name? Because I notice it's a little longer than most albums, which I love. So I'm wondering if there's a story behind that.
So actually, I was rereading Jude the Obscure, a novel by Thomas Hardy, very grim novel, but very great. And in the very first chapter, I believe, there's a mention of this hymn. It's actually the title of a Methodist hymn, Victorian hymn. It's actually not the title; it's some of the words from the hymn, and it just struck me as this sort of, it struck me as it sort of suited the lyrical themes and my overarching themes for the recording. So I just pinched it basically. So sadly, it's got nothing to do with it's not my writing, but it is, yeah, kind of very yeah, it has that kind of Victorian high Methodist sensibility to it, which I found quite fascinating. That idea of sort of, not fearing death, because if one's made one's peace with God, you're going to be all right. Not that I'm religious or anything. I was intrigued by the sentiment.
And Steve, what do you think about the title? Is there anything that, I guess, was there any other options that might have been a title, or you just like went with this and you're like, okay, this is it, or any other suggestions that you guys thought about?
No, I know my place really. Tommy just tells me what to do. No, no. He put it on the table, and I thought it was fairly grim. And considering what the lyrical themes I come up with, and ideas about contemplating death, but in the sense of you contemplate your end to sort of adjust how you live and to make your life better and make other people's lives better, hopefully as well. It totally fit with that theme, so it was a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's something that a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure people think about, but it's just kind of nice to not have to worry about that too.
I have to say, I mean, this time around, it was a kind of a bit of a vanity project, from me, in the sense I had quite a lot of creative control over these decisions. But I hope in the future we're going to be far more collaborative.
So, what's the favorite song on the album for you both?
All the ones that I'm on.
Not by
No,
a straw.
it's kind of. I mean, it is taken as like it is broken into tracks, but it's one of those things you sort of take as a whole and sort of let it wash over you. Is the idea, going through sort of different moods. I don't know. I mean, in some ways, I think you kind of need all of it to get the full sense of what the record's about. I wouldn't want to be without any particular part of it. It's sort of from the quiet bits to the sort of, I say faster, slightly faster parts towards the end. Yeah, I think it should be taken as a whole.
I would say Leathern Chord, the first sort of track proper. I mean, because I kind of the whole recording stemmed from some of the sort of musical themes that are in that. Um, I suppose it's the most conventionally sort of verse chorus, perhaps, part of the recording. Maybe. Uh, in terms of my writing, that was a sort of spark. So I'll go with that.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. I know it's kind of hard to choose, especially when they're all your babies. So you just have to find one that you're like, okay, this one is like the favorite. Sorry, other songs. So I know we talked about the release being today. Are there any fears that either of you have today, or is it just mostly excitement?
Oh, no fears. It's great. It's great to have someone willing to put the label willing to put it out, and it's just great to be able to share the music. Really, it sounds quite, I guess, yeah. I mean, obviously there would, you hope people enjoy it, but at the end of the day, it's that old cliche is that we create the music for ourselves primarily. And we wouldn't have put it out if we didn't sort of believe in it. So
How about you, Steve? Any excitement or fears?
Yeah, no, it's just excitement. I mean, it's been a little while coming now with like the pre-order stage and things like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, as Tom says, it's something we would have created it anyway, even if we hadn't got someone as course like Peter to put it out. But having had it coming out and it's the record's looking nice and sounding good, it's like it's yeah, all the little extras are exciting. Um, but yeah, it's I can't think. I don't. I mean, I don't. I mean, I hope that people like it, but I can't see. I can understand if people don't like it. That's fine. I've never had a problem with that either. So
I mean,
Yeah,
I feel sorry. I feel like the most exciting part really is that this is a sort of a starting point for us to create more music. Then that's not to put this down at all. I kind of stand by the music, but I'm really hoping that hopefully within a year we'll have more music. Um,
yeah.
definitely.
So kind of a harder question, but what do you hope that people take away from the album itself?
Go on, Steve.
You were gonna. Uh, I hope they. No, I don't know. I'm a. This is going to sound quite pretentious. I'm quite a follower of the idea of Norman Holland, and he said interpretation is a function of identity. So how people take it is more about says something about them than it does about the record itself. So different people will take it differently, and I'm actually, I think, I guess I'm excited to see the different takes that people will have on it. I don't think I have one vision that people should take away from it. I just quite excited at people's interpretation of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel that there's any kind of message, not a strong message other than the usual ones that are attached to people. It's obviously very dark, heavy, sad, melancholy music. But
Mm.
like Steve says, I guess we can never really sort of control the way people interpret or what people take from music. You know, but and that's what's kind of great about creating music, isn't it? So
Yeah, for sure. And Steve, I know you said like you wrote some lyrics in this on this album itself. And then Thomas, you did most of the musical bits and everything. So it's kind of a different question for each of you. It's what was the most difficult song to write? So I guess that'd be lyrically for you, Steve, and for you, Thomas, whatever the hardest song was you for you to write. And Steve, I'll start with you.
Well, it's quite easy. Love and Chord was the most difficult to write. It didn't uh, more to do with like the vocal phrasing. It didn't suggest itself immediately to me. The ideas were there, but just putting it um, into the context of the song was the most difficult. A sort of a problem with the crafting rather than anything else. It was say the themes were already set, but yeah, definitely Love and Chord.
How about you, Thomas?
yeah, I'd say actually the same. It was for me. It was actually the tempo just playing it that sometimes playing slow and simple can be harder than playing fast and complex. And I do some other projects. Was playing a lot of quite fast black metal at the time, and slowing it right down and giving the music some space to breathe and stuff was actually a bit of a challenge recording. I just had to you know put the handbrake on a bit. So yeah, definitely that track.
For sure. So what was the creation process behind the album cover?
So I it's by a guy called Sam Richter's. I contacted him. He had an Instagram because he's based in France. He had an Instagram profile with some interesting work. I think I contacted him about a piece that he'd already created, but someone else using it. I don't know if it was a band, or I think he does stuff sort of gaming and Dungeons and Dragons type stuff as well. But he offered to create a whole new piece for us, and so that was it really. I gave him some details as some of the concept around the lyrics, and just sort of the wider atmospheres that we wanted to try and get across. And but I gave him carte blanche really, and he came back with it. So he had freedom to create whatever he was. I was very happy with what he came up with.
And how do you feel about the album cover, Steve?
Yeah, I do. Well, I didn't know what it was going to be at all until Tom sent a picture of it to me. And it's very. I don't know if it was. I don't know if I was expecting particularly anything, but it was very. It stood out, and I think it does. But now I've seen it like in Bandcamp when it's scrolling, and it is very it's a very standout piece. So I think it captures the mood quite nicely.
Yeah, for sure. And I know the photo I have in my background is also one that was stolen from you guys as well. What's kind of the inspiration behind this photo right here? It's really, really cool.
So I took a trip last November, or the end of October, I can't remember now, to the Isle of Lewis, which is in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland. It's an island, quite remote. It's pretty much a world. You don't get too many sort of wilderness areas in the UK, but this is quite remote, and this is the ancient sort of megalithic stones. It's the Callanish stone circles, so a bit like Avebury or better known Stonehenge, but it's a bit harder to get to. So I thought perhaps taking some photos up that way would be good. So I'm a bit of a photographer, and I shot some Super 8 footage. And I had a friend with me who actually acts as the model in the photos. We did an interview yesterday, and I think someone expected us to come on hooded. I had to let him down, sadly. So yeah, that was it. I took loads of photos, and we're doing a little photo zine that's going to come out with the limited edition run of the record. So it'd be nice to get some of those images out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, the nice thing is it's a hooded figure, so you could say it was either one of you, and no one would ever.
Yeah, we were going to try and flag it, but I don't know if my friend, wants sort of, credit for being the model.
What do you think about this photo, Steve?
No, I love that this series of photos and the footage. So he's always taking something and sending it to people, putting it on his Instagram. It gets a bit tedious after a while, but these are good.
Maybe next time you go along so you can be the model.
And next time you're gonna have to step up to me.
So I know even if you didn't, I know it's just like lyrics for you this time, and you guys talked about like having more of a collaboration for the next album. But do you think having only two of you that it makes it a lot easier to produce music? Do you think it's going to be harder by adding people or easier?
So, actually, we are now sort of a proper, more conventional band. We've got some new members in, so I think there are going to be quite a few more writers next time round, basically. Steve as well is a musician. He's not just a lyricist. So hopefully we're going to be adapting some of his music too. So I think, it's quite exciting that we've probably got 4 or 5 people that will be writing on the next release.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's
from the lyric point of view, there's not much. There's not much that happens differently. It's always sort of done alone, and you bring it and hope that no one laughs when they read them. But no, I think we've both been in bands before where many people have contributed to it, and it's just you sort of know how to do it in the end. And the people we're bringing in they're friends of ours already, so we know it'll be straightforward to push ideas around.
Well, that sounds exciting. So how long did it take for this project from start to finish?
The recording in the practical sense, recording took me about a week, and then, as I said, I hadn't got Steve on board as a vocalist at that point. But once we did one vocal session, and then there was some sort of back and forth with the mixing. But yeah, so really kind of just over a week. So pretty quick, really. In terms of the writing, it was kind of born of some ideas I'd been playing around with for over the last summer, perhaps, and
Mhm.
I moved them forward, and I said, I'm just going to try and record this and turn it into something. So yeah, it was quite a strange sort of birthing process, but it worked.
Yeah, for sure. So kind of a harder question. I know the album releases today, but for each of you, if you have to describe this album in 3 words, what 3 words would it be?
Hmm. Tom, it's your go first, I think, this time.
Okay, well, so firstly, melancholy for sure. It's definitely got this kind of, I hope, atmosphere of melancholy that sort of permeates the whole recording. And then I'm just going to go for very obvious stuff. Yeah, it's heavy. It's very heavy and it's slow. Um, uh, those three, I think I sort of like the core elements of our sound, really.
Hmm.
Someone someone yesterday used the words what was it? It's like cinematic
Cinematic.
sorrow,
Yeah,
which which I thought were very apt. Um, so I might go with that. So
yeah. I do.
cinematic and sorrow, is that 3 words? That count? Is that cheating?
I do think it has that cinematic. I was kind of going for that soundtrack type quality, so that was astute.
Well, the good news is there are no rules, so there is no cheating ever.
Exactly.
Uh-uh.
So I know you mentioned about adding some new members that are already a part of it, kind of doing more collaborations in the future. Is there any other exciting things that's going to be next toward the band?
Well, it is all. We're just literally writing now, so we're making that transition from something of like a bedroom project to a real band. And we've all played in sort of bands before, like more conventional rehearsal room, touring, playing, whatever. And so making that move is going to be interesting. But at the moment, it is we're hopefully writing towards a full album. And so yeah, that's it really. It's great. I think for me personally, it's great to have other people writing. But I want it to be a democracy, and I want us all to sort of come in and share the ideas and the writing process together. So that's going to be very different to this recording. So yeah.
For sure. Are you excited about I guess, going forward from here, Steve, being able to be more, especially as a musician, like, I guess, more involved and having more teammates too?
Yeah, I mean, I'm contractually obliged to agree with Thomas, our benevolent
Yeah, I
dictator.
mean, you got to remember that. I'm like Steve Harris.
I do. I've always liked the collaborative process. Again, it goes back to the idea of not not having any not trying to have any assumptions about how people are going to interpret it. So, the new guys, with more bandmates, they've got different ideas on the same sort of themes that we're having. So we're all on the same page conceptually, but it's just interesting to see what they bring to it. And I always find that really exciting. So yeah, I do like collaborating that way.
Well, awesome. So I have one final question for you both, and it's just, do you have any final message, comments that you'd like to give to current fans, old fans, anyone interested in listening to the new album, anyone that's purchased the album today? Just kind of like your own little time to say whatever you want to your fans.
Well,
Well, just thank you very much for if you've taken the trouble to listen to it. We just want, I think, our music to be listened to. ideally appreciated. But it's always nice that people take the chance and have a listen and see what they think. And even better if you've been very kind enough to purchase the album. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll second what Steve said. Really, just anyone that's interested, thanks very much. And if supporting us in any way by buying a record or tape or t-shirt or anything, that's great and helps us create more music in the future, I hope. But yeah, thanks.
Well, I want to thank you both for taking your time for doing this interview with me. And for anyone who wants to purchase the album, it does come out today, and it sounds like there's going to be more to come. So definitely check out this band.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Cheers.
So thank you both and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.